Hi Club members, I'm back with another video. The topic for today is using cameras in animation, and I'll be talking about cameras used in 2D animation and 3D animation. The breakdown, at least of the video, is that I want to talk to you about some basic shot types that you can use for a camera, some extreme shot types, and then I will lead you to some other resources. So to begin, I'll start with, in the camera use and with animation, they have defined specific shots or angles that they can utilize the camera for that work based on the situation. So for some basic shot types, we have a wide shot, which establishes the scene. Then we have a medium shot, which gets more closely to the character, so you can see their reaction to something, or their thought process, or just to see the I guess how the character reacts to a situation. And then even more is a close-up shot, which can also be used for a character's reaction, or if it's a real emotional scene, you can really tell how they're feeling in that case. Next, we've got extreme shots. We have an extreme wide shot, which again, it can establish a scene, I suppose, but more like it can establish like a whole world shot. So the example I saw was in Cars at the very beginning when they're establishing the whole racetrack. That's when an extreme wide shot would be used. An extreme close-up would, like a normal close-up shot, be used to capture like the emotion in a scene, or for a really, I guess, emotional, heartfelt scene that's shown to zoom in on a character or two. Then we have an extreme upshot. So you can imagine that you're a dog, or I don't know, a mouse or an animal like that, and you're looking up at a person or something above you. That's, I guess, the type of angle that an extreme upshot can be used for. Usually it can show like power dominance, that the person you're looking at, they're showing that they're taller, bigger than that person, showing dominance over them. A down shot looks at least down at a character, so that can either be another person looking at them, or it could be just the camera scene, or for the audience's sake, looking down at that person. A Dutch shot is just a diagonal view of the scene, as going across, and that's at least for the extreme shots. Now, dynamic shots, we get into a pan shot. So that's where the camera just rotates either horizontally, I thought I mixed them up, horizontally or vertically. And then next, for a scene, I guess. So next we have a dolly, which is when a camera moves parallel to the ground for the scene. Then we have a zoom, which pushes right into a scene or pulls out of a scene. And then a tracking shot is just when the camera is following a particular object, so a person or, a ball rolling off a table, instances like that. So that's all I had in defining some basic camera terms for you all. And next, what I want to lead to is I learned those terms, and you can learn a whole lot more on this website, Khan Academy. It's used a lot more for just online learning in terms of other subjects, so like math and science and English and things you may or may not be interested in. But they have a series called Pixar in a Box, which goes into the world of the Pixar animation studio, and it gives you an insights and helps you learn all these things in animation. So what I'll point you to is a section they have called Film Grammar, which helps describe these shot types that I explained to you and a little more, just to get an idea of how you can think about moving a camera. And then they actually have another topic within that course called Virtual Cameras, which goes all into virtual cameras. Because the course mainly focuses on 3D animation, because that's what Pixar is now. So you can learn all of that and a lot more if you go to that. I'll include the link to that in the description below. And what I'll point you to also is we didn't talk a lot about 2D animation yet. Those shot types can apply to either 2D and 3D, but to really utilize 2D animation, I will point you to some YouTube videos in the description below. This person, does tutorials in the program OpenTunes, which I think I've talked about before, open source 2D animation program. So you can learn a bit of how to move the camera from OpenTunes in those videos. Now the last thing I'll do is actually give my own demonstration of using a camera in a 3D space 3D program. And I'll be demonstrating in Blender, which is an open source 3D program. And I know we're all familiar with using Maya for animation classes and such, but just because it's an education license, I cannot record and show it to you all for that fact. So I'll be using Blender. All right, at least what I hope is that the camera, you can see me in Blender right now, and maybe my face off to the side a bit, but we're here in Blender. I'm not going to go super in depth into a big tutorial or anything. I just want to show you, I guess, some basics of how to start to move the camera in Blender, which can be somewhat familiar if you've used Maya before, and even if you used Blender before or not. So what we'll start off with here is if you hit Shift, and I guess I'm using a keyboard and a mouse for this. So when we hit Shift and then hit the middle mouse wheel, we get into just moving the scene like this. So next we've got Control, and when you hit the mouse pad, and again, that is to kind of zoom in and out of the scene, as you can see, or even if you just scroll with the mouse wheel itself, you get a similar effect. And then when we just hold down the wheel, we pan around the scene just like this. So that's at least the basics of how to move in the scene. What I'll point to next is, if I can click on it, maybe not. So, okay, what I'm trying to click on here is the camera itself that they have in the scene, although it doesn't seem I can directly click it. And I'm not too familiar with Blender yet. So at least what I'll do is up here, you can see camera, select camera, and that actually is where the camera is now selected. And then from here, you can notice that I'm, moving it around. What I want to do now is see this whole scene from that camera's perspective. Took me a little bit to figure it out because it's not like Maya, but what I noticed is that if you have a full keyboard, you have got the number pad, which is on the right of your keyboard, and all I'll do is hit 0, and that has now brought me into that camera view. So this is directly what the camera is looking at. And if I hit any of the other numbers on, on that number pad, get me to different angles. So this shows from this view, a front perspective, user's perspective, I guess, right, again, user, I forgot the term. It was like ortho, parallel, something like, I don't even know. And then, okay, so there's a top perspective, another user perspective, there's that. Then we can go back to 0, which gets us back into that camera view. And then if I hit escape, maybe not. Well, in any case, so you're in the camera view here. Usually if I just hit another button that gets me into this view, I can usually just, move around the scene again, and then it gets you back to the basic view, not in the camera. That's all I had for showing you how to do this in Blender, and at least for the overall video too. So again, thank you for watching this, and what I'll do is I'll put links in the description for any of the videos that I want to point you to learn more about cameras, and then I can even put links if you don't have Blender or OpenTunes yet, but you want to tinker around with them. I will include the links where you can download them from there. So thanks for watching this video, and I hope you all have fun with learning more about cameras.